Bodies lay on the floor as if Bill Cosby got to their drinks before them. But that doesn't seem to be the case, since this is evident of an epic battle that took place. A dragon soon appears from the thick smoke and stands before 6 survivors. He begins the dialogue with a roast by calling them foolish, disgusting humans who are deluded if they think mere mortals like them can defeat a dragon such as himself. But before all of this occurred, there was a calamity known as the Shadow Worlds that slowly overtook the world in black fog, and amongst all the disaster humanity has faced, this calamity is said to have been the worst. Though the fog hasn't consumed the entirety of the planet, the parts it has engulfed cannot be inhabited by any living creature, and as a result, no one knows exactly what goes on inside the dense smog. Once the fog claims everything, the world will cease to exist. Therefore, the heroes must find a way of conquering the Shadow Worlds if they are to save humanity. Desser aggravates the dragon, whom we have come to know is called Boromir Napolitan. The hero proclaims that he will slay the dragon and bring an end to the disaster that has been upon his world. Napolitan accepts his challenge with a loud cry and brings from within his chest an attack that concentrates at the tip of his mouth as a fireball. He then shoots it at the 6, hoping to finish them all in one move. One of the heroes stands with his shield ready to block, but the fireball dissolves, all thanks to the help of Desser's magic. Napolitan cannot believe a human was able to cancel out his attack, so he steps back and charges what seems to be an even more powerful spell. But Desser activates his magic again in an attempt to stop the dragon. He is successful in snuffing out the fireball, but not without tremendous effort. His party move forward to finish the dragon off once Desser announces to them that his analysis of the magical pattern is complete and that he has sealed every draconian spell. Even after witnessing the incredible feats of the humans, Napolitan still looks down on them and holds firm to his belief that he cannot be defeated by such a weak species. He swings his tail towards the oncoming trio, but Raffaello puts up a barrier that is able to withstand the force of the tail whip. The other 2 take flight when the brute with fire in his eyes launches a long-range assault that stunts the dragon. This allows Azez to imbue her sword with magic ready to slay the dragon. Napolitan tries to retaliate, but the mage steps in with a side blast and then casts a spell that gives Azez all their magic powers. With that immense energy and one swing of her sword, the dragon is defeated, which lifts the fog. The party stands there grateful that their battle has finally come to an end. When evening comes, they sit around to celebrate their victory. The brute wonders if they have defeated the wrong target. Raffaello wonders the same too, since by now, they should have been sent to their world after defeating their assigned target. The mage assures them that they did indeed take out their intended enemy. We learn that these 6 are the sole survivors out of 150 million people who fought against Napolitan. His statement triggers Desser to have a flashback of all the companions he has lost along the way, including friends he deems irreplaceable. He concludes that this hellscape has taken too much from them. The priestess can see the mood is dull and reminds them that they have defeated Napolitan, so they should think about something uplifting. The reality is that 99% of the mages have passed away. They need to figure out what's to come next. The priestess feels like they should pray first. She begins by commending Raffaello for being able to block Napolitan's attacks, but he gives most of the credit to Desser, who contributed more to their victory. The other members of the party agree with that statement. The leader confesses that he didn't think that Desser could withstand the fight. He is impressed that he managed to analyze and seal Napolitan's draconian spells with his circle. Not even he has such power. The party leader is surprised that Desser is unknown despite having so much strength. They are all curious to know why. He reveals that he's a commoner. Their leader finds this to be unfortunate and states that he would have given any support he needed if Desser was at the magic tower. Raffaello wants to know what everyone will do once they get back to their world. They all share their plans. Desser is the last to speak. The thought of him returning to the Henrian Academy causes him to think about Romantica, his most cherished person who passed away during this fight. He just tells them that he will think about what to do next for a while before acting. Their feel-good conversation takes a left turn when Napolitan's eyes open. The amount of magic emanating from the dragon makes them doubt if they defeated him. The mage leader is certain that they have. He thinks hard and remembers a key detail about a dragon's heart. According to sources, the creature's hearts don't only pump blood, but they also store and circulate vast amounts of mana. When a dragon dies, the blood stops, and if the stored mana has nowhere to go, an explosion follows. This is the first time in history that humans have defeated a dragon, so this could not be confirmed. The mage sets up a barrier to brace for this colossal explosion. Due to Napolitan's extraordinary magic power, they don't stand a chance of stopping it. Desser tries to do something, but his magic circle is instantly broken. The party leader tells them all to prepare for the end. The white light engulfs them all. Desser can't believe that this is the end and begins to shout. He opens his eyes, surprised to be still alive. His gaze then hits his reflection, prompting a look of shock to be written all over his face. Desser is completely baffled as to what is going on, but his attention is drawn by the sound of applause. His curiosity leads him to an atrium where he walks in on Professor Bridget giving her welcome speech to the new students of Hebrian Academy. Some of the female students talk among themselves regarding her beauty, but she politely scolds them for their chit-chat. She informs the cohort that not everyone will be able to enroll. They must all take a test, and only the top 600 will be accepted. Simultaneously with Professor Bridget, Desser says that the test is for them to clear a shadow world. The students complain among themselves as they find this task to be dangerous and impossible. Bridget assures them it is artificially created for the parameters of the test. She informs them that they will be fully briefed by their seniors who will support them in the process. With that explanation, the professor officially begins the entrance exam for the year 3613. The situation begins to dawn on Desser, who leaves the assembly before everyone else. He finds a corner and hyperventilates as he tries to make sense of the situation. The battle against Napolitan started in 3616 and they fought in that dungeon for 10 years. Everything was destroyed in the process. He thinks about all the pain and suffering they went through and wonders what it was all for as he finds himself back to a time before all of it happened. Desser falls to the ground crying as the pain is too much. He later heads out as it dawns on him that this is not a dream and he's in the past. His thoughts are interrupted when Ladoria shouts that she has been looking for him when she couldn't find him at the directed meeting spot. Desser apologizes. She accepts it and formally introduces herself to him. Ladoria is a second-year student who will be his mentor moving forward. The two exchange greetings and Desser remembers that she is a mage genius who wields fire magic. She is number 1 in the academy rankings. She notices the absent look on his face, and he explains it as nerves. She tells him not to be nervous about the exams, as the point of it is just to see if the students can fight. Ladoria looks through his profile and notices that he's a commoner. This means that he will be in B class even if he passes. Desser is already aware of the school's discriminatory practice. It puts the nobles into the alpha class and commoners into the beta class. Proper education is not given to the commoner even if they show talent. This system has crushed the prospects of many mages. Ladoria leads him to the school, and she is surprised that he is not awe-stricken by the area. Desser simply tells her that he has seen a similar building before. Ladoria doesn't believe that because there's no facility this grand anywhere. She informs him that they must be quick, otherwise they will be late. As the duo proceeds through the corridors, a call from behind catches their attention. Ladoria cringes as she recognizes the voice. A guy with blue hair is sarcastically surprised to see her in this area. Desser acts ignorant as he asks to know who this character is. She introduces him as the annoying jerk Elhim. Desser recalls that he's a mage who wields water magic and he doesn't get along with Ladoria. He continues his oblivious act, asking his mentor if she doesn't like the guy, judging on her response to him. She comments that dislike is a mild way of putting it because she hates the guy. Elhim smugly crosses his hands as he remarks on how long it took her to get to the facility and attributes her lack of speed to her height. Ladoria calls him aggravating and states that his speech reveals his crude upbringing. Elhim retaliates, saying that he expects nothing less from a despicable fire mage like her. They both try to hide their irritation with a fake smile as Ladoria points out that he lost to her. Elhim reveals that he let her win. She gives him the benefit of the doubt on that one because his display of power was so abysmal. Elhim pauses the petty insult battle and turns his attention to Desser, asking if Ladoria is his mentor. He politely confirms this, and Elhim is appreciative of Desser's manners. He asks for Desser's name, which he gives. The blue-haired guy checks his profile and begins to laugh because Desser is a commoner. He teases Ladoria and doesn't even see them as competition at all. She wants to know what he means by that. Elhim dismisses her question and just states that he's looking forward to the test. He walks past them laughing at the situation, but he stops just behind Desser and tells him that he will be in beta class even if he passes the test with flying colors. Elhim advises him not to take the test, and Ladoria shouts at him, wanting to know what he means by those words. An announcement alerting everyone that the exam will commence shortly rings through the building. The candidates are told to come to the testing site, so Desser turns to Ladoria to ask if they should go, but he's taken aback by how livid she is. His mentor tells him that he must pass the test, and he nervously replies that he will do what he can. If this is truly the past, He expects to see his most cherished person. Desser enters the hall looking for her. He hears a voice that sends shockwaves through his body. He turns and it's Romantica. She berates him for looking around like a child, and he gets a flashback to her death in the future. This alone confirms that he has been sent to the past. Desser is not sure how it happened, but he doesn't intend to allow that tragedy to repeat itself. He intends to rewrite the history of the world. Things continue as Romantica finds it strange that Desser knows her name. The girl doesn't recall them ever meeting before. Those words cut deep, but he apologizes and points out that he picked out her name from the candidate test grouping, which is posted for all to see. She inspects the screen and notices that they are in the same testing group, so she wishes him the best of luck before excusing herself. Internally, Desser holds on to their relationship in the other future timeline. He acknowledges that current Romantica has no idea how devastated he was when he lost her. He clenches his fists and vows to never let her go through an ordeal ever again. Shortly after, he is joined by his mentor Ladoria, who informs him that he's in Group D for the test. This will be a race in the Ehrenstein plans in the beginner level of the Shadow World. She tells him not to worry about the Shadow World used by the Academy, as it was created for the test. A safety system is employed, so if someone takes fatal damage, they are immediately evacuated. Desser is surprised that one can take damage. Ladoria prepares to explain when she's interrupted by Elhim. The blue hair states the use of magic and attacks towards other participants is allowed. He tells Desser again that he can't pass the test. Ladoria challenges that viewpoint, stating that nothing is certain till they try, but Elhim is quite confident that he is right. He introduces his mentee named Azest, who is a magic knight, and Ladoria is shocked. On the other hand, Desser gives a smile, as in the future she was a party member who could use ice magic and is a high circle mage. She also uses vision magic, which is impossible to inverse, and wields a sword with more skill than a pure knight. He already pegs her as the most reliable teammate. Azest just stands there and doesn't say much, which doesn't surprise Desser because she's not much of a talker. Ladoria double checks Azest's information on hand. She's low-key annoyed that he got such a promising mentee. Elhim can see that this revelation has shaken Ladoria. However, she tries to downplay it and voices that he just got lucky with his mentee assignment. The redhead doesn't feel like this reflects one's skill. Elhim agrees, but feels like it reflects his virtue. He takes a shot at Ladoria, remarking that her having a commoner mentee is a perfect fit for someone of her level. Elhim walks away laughing while Ladoria boils with rage. Desser is just happy to see Azest again. Ladoria confesses that his odds of winning against a magic knight are not great at all. Nevertheless, she doesn't want him to give up. Desser thanks her for the pep talk just as the announcer alerts members of Group D that their testing is about to commence. She wishes him good luck as he makes his way to the gate and enters with the rest of his group. They materialize on the Ehrenstein plains, where it is explained that the top 3 to reach the goal passed the test. The participants were allowed to use magic attacks and any other methods to get ahead. They will also be disqualified if they receive fatal damage. The group is instructed to stand at the starting line that appears. Desser steals a look at Azest, wondering if she was also sent to the past with her memories intact like him, since they both survived until the end. Her being emotionless makes it difficult to tell what she's thinking. Desser is shocked when she suddenly calls him. He wonders how she knows his name, thinking that his suspicions are right. The magic knight confesses that she checked the roster before she came. His face changes when he realizes this. Azest points out he is in the lowest circle of magic with below average physical abilities. If he were to continue training, he has no future. Her speech confirms that she doesn't have any memories of the future. Azest notices him observing her and assumes that he is wary of her power, so she assures him that he doesn't need to worry as she doesn't have an interest in attacking the weak. He thanks her and gets ready for the countdown. As soon as the race starts, Azest dashes ahead and the force creates a gust of wind that stuns everyone for a moment. The other participants soon follow, leaving Desser and Romantica behind. As they try to catch up, Romantica apologizes when she knocks over a fluffy monster. The lady is also enamored by its cuteness. Desser comments about her liking fluffy stuff. She gets defensive at the thought of him knowing things about her and asks him bluntly if he's trying to flatter her. Desser remembers that she doesn't know and quietly runs with a smile as she tells him to focus on the face. He lets her know that at this pace they are going to get disqualified. Romantica does not see herself in the same class as him and warns him to stop acting so familiar with her. He apologizes with a smile. She finds that expression on his face annoying, so tells him to stop it. He forgets that she doesn't know him and says that he just misses this banter. Desser spots a glint coming from the forest and pushes Romantica out of the way. A fireball comes clashing between them, and one of the NPCs has decided to stop and go on the offensive. He berates Desser for foiling his attack. The guy shoots a bigger fireball, but he gets countered and overwhelmed by Romantica's wind magic, which takes him out in the process. The announcer informs the field of his disqualification due to fatal damage. Azest is still ahead, and the other two background characters are behind, but they can't close the distance. Romantica thanks Desser for the save, but she reminds him that they are still competing. The Academy heads watch the numerous tests and are impressed with the level of applicants. They are happy to see that a magic knight is part of the candidates and mock Desser, stating that he doesn't stand a chance. Back in the test, that confrontation has sent them back even further, so Romantica reluctantly uses her trump card as she summons a powerful gust of wind that takes out the remaining two background characters. But Azest easily clears a path for herself by slicing through the wind. The announcer informs the field that 2 more participants have been taken out, remaining 3. Romantica is not too bothered that one survived. She gives Desser a false sense of security when she informs him that they have both passed regardless. In the next moment, she reveals her intention to take him out too. Romantica feels like it will be better for him if he drops out. Desser smiles as he asks why, so she discloses that his facial expression is the reason why she wants him out, because it annoys her. The guy finds that to be a bit harsh, but she's only trying to talk him out of the competition before he gets hurt. Romantica attempts to read a spell as she tells him to drop out immediately. Desser refuses so bluntly that she mishears it for complete submission for a moment. As she begins to commend him, her brain finally processes his refusal and she's shocked. Desser repeats his refusal. She is perplexed that he still wants to challenge her after seeing her magic, and he lets off that smile again. This triggers her to the point that she releases the magic energy and prepares a huge attack as numerous magic circles appear. She informs him that the pain will be so excruciating that he will wonder if he's going to die. But he can rest easy knowing that it's a simulation. The attacks rain down on him, leaving a giant cloud of smoke. Romantica says bye to him before walking off, but turns around shocked when she hears Desser commending her for being able to handle so many magic circles. He points out that her control was weak because she prioritized speed, any light adjustment to the trajectory, and it won't hit its target. Romantica gets offended by his criticism when she reveals that she just happened to miss, and it was not a result of him altering the attack's trajectory. She refuses to accept that he can defeat her and prepares a more potent attack. Desser demonstrates what he did the first time and changes the air currents which deflect her assault. After witnessing it, Romantica is stunned as he just cast an inversing spell. She explains that one must be at a much higher circle to be able to inverse another's spell. What Desser just did should be impossible because he's at the lowest circle. She attacks again, but he stops it head on and dismantles it. She is now certain that he inversed it and is now wondering if this means that his skills are much higher than hers. Desser smiles as he suggests they wrap the fight up since he has others to defeat. Romantica refuses to give up and casts many spells to overwhelm him, but he inverses everything. He internally acknowledges her strength and puts her in the top percentiles of the new students. However, she's not strong enough. At this rate, they will repeat the same future. However, he believes that she can become stronger. It is for that reason that he must be the one to win now. He completely overrides all her magic circles. He then informs her that there are 3 things that she overlooked. The first is that he can do more than just inversing spells. He casts a grace spell on his legs. Romantica remarks that it is one of the basic spells to erase friction. She wonders why he would use such a spell. He glosses over her question and states his second point, revealing that she wasn't the one he'd been fighting all along. The last detail she overlooked is that they are not being tested on their magic skill but their ability to reach the goal. He knocks her back when he uses a fireball spell to propel himself. Romantica is taken aback by how unorthodox Desser is. All the while, Azest reaches the final stretch of the race, but she senses Desser's approach. The way the guy jets out with speed, she can tell that he will catch up soon, so she decides to confront him. The knight is not sure of the method he used to defeat Romantica, but she takes back calling him weak. With that admission, she's committed to defeating him with everything she's got. A silly number of magic circles dot the sky. Desser puts his inversing spell into overdrive and begins to gain control over the magic circles. Azest tries to end it before he can take them all, but Desser deflects the attacks as they rain down on him. The magic knight gives her first facial expression and she's shocked when he steps out with his shirt torn, looking like the edgy school bully. Azest guesses that he used the inversing spells to defeat Romantica. Desser stands there with some of Azest's hijacked magic circles. The magic knight doesn't intend to let him take control of them all, so combines what she has remaining into a giant one. Desser fires at it and takes control of the attack, deflecting it. he uses the blowback from the ambush to jet past Azest and finishes first. It is officially declared that Azest crossed the line second and Romantica third. He mentally notes that they need to get stronger to prevent the tragedy. Meanwhile, in Group F, Donetta is declared the winner after defeating all the opponents. He steps out of the shadow world and smirks when he sees Romantica on the monitor. All the while, the Academy teachers finish the student class allocations based on their test results, magic circle level, and family histories. As expected, not a single commoner got assigned to the Alpha class. The teachers comment among themselves about how that class exists to nurture the chosen mages, so they can't have uneducated commoners in there. They feel like these low lives should even be happy that they can enroll at the school. The head teacher, looking like Gandalf the Grey's grandfather, knocks the gavel to silence their childish smirking. He announces that there has been a recommendation by Professor Bridget to place Desser into Alpha class. The students later gather at the board to find out their class placements. Desser is not surprised to see himself in Beta class given his background. He's more concerned about Romantica, who is shocked to see herself in Beta class. They head over to their first lesson, and she's not impressed by the rundown classrooms and musty interiors. The teacher begins by explaining that the skills of mages are ranked into circles, with the lowest circle being 1 and the highest being 7. He reveals that to be an Alpha class, one needs to be at least at a level 2 circle, and all the students in Beta class are at level 1. Romantica corrects him internally as she's a level 2. The teacher bluntly informs the students that their skills aren't good enough for actual Shadow World exploration. All he can do is wish them the best of luck, which only frustrates Romantica. She wonders if she didn't get chosen for Alpha class because of her secret. The girl stops that train of thought and focuses on how devastating it is to be in the same class as Desser. She's perplexed as to why he's in Beta class when he beat a Holy Knight in the exam. He turns and smiles at her, which only makes her angrier. He has a flashback of his meeting with Professor Bridget. The guy thanked her for all that she did at the orphanage. She was just happy that he grew up to be an excellent mage who was capable of beating Azest. However, her request to have him in the Alpha class was strongly rejected by the other nobles. Presently, Desser knows that this discrimination overlooks the many diamonds in the rough that are in Beta class. He knows that he must awaken as many talents as possible. Later, a depressed Romantica is approached by Donetta. The guy can't believe that the daughter of Baron Eru is in Beta. He introduces himself as a member of the Alpha class and expresses his desire to have her join his party. He informs her that he's going to be joining the Blue Moon Party, which is the best party in the academy. It is made up of the top students of the Alpha class. Since Romantica has excellent skills and a perfect lineage, he wants to invite her. She thinks that if she joins him, there might be a chance that she will get promoted to the top class, and based on that her mind is made. Donetta holds her hand and confesses his love for her, expressing that he wants them to be a couple in exchange for the recommendation. This takes her by surprise as he lets her know that it was love at first sight. He conveys his contempt that she has been lumped in with filthy commoners. She pleads for some time to think about her answer. He gives her a gift and explains that it is customary in his hometown to hand it to a person that one is in love with. She tries to reject the beautiful necklace, but he insists she keep it and looks forward to her response as he leaves. Shortly after, she is joined by Desser, who also proposes that she join his party. She laughs at him since she just had an invite from the best party in the academy where success will be guaranteed. He internally points out that her choosing to join Blue Moon was her biggest mistake as she rejects his offer. Before he goes, he leaves her a note instructing her to read it only when she's alone. A look of dread and anger fills her face after reading it as she wonders how he knows this information. All the while, Desser wonders how angry she will react, but his attention is taken when he finds Pram sitting alone. Desser follows him to the dueling area where he reveals that in the future, Pram was one of the fastest swordsmen among the warriors that participated in the battle. Desser can only imagine how strong he can get with more training than he received in the other timeline. His thoughts are interrupted by an upset Romantica who demands to know where he learned about her secret. He cuts her off, indicating that practice is starting, and she can't contain herself as she comments on how cute Pram is. However, they both get confused when he picks a great sword as his weapon. Pram introduces himself to his Alpha class opponent. However, the noble does not acknowledge him because he's a commoner. The fight begins and the noble is taken aback by Pram's skill as he gets knocked back, but the great sword is not suited for Pram. This causes him to lose the practice duel. However, the noble gets angry that Pram is more talented and can put up a good fight, so he begins to attack him despite the match being over. Desser intervenes and calls the noble out, which forces him to attack Desser, but he blocks, breaking the mock sword. and gives the alpha classman an intimidating look that makes him stand down, but he threatens him before leaving. Pram later tends to Desser's arm while showing great appreciation for his intervention, all the while Romantica is trying to get his attention too. Before he leaves, Pram expresses his gratitude once again and promises to never forget Desser's kindness. He is also available if his assistance is required. Desser alerts him that he will take him on that offer. With that sorted, he goes to a secluded location to discuss Romantica's issue. He assures her that he hasn't told anyone. However, the professors are aware of it, which is why they dropped her to beta class despite her being a noble with amazing magic skills. Desser discloses the secret, revealing that her father was a wealthy commoner merchant who bought a title from a poor noble and obtained the surname of Eru. This happened when Romantica was 4 years old. He lets her know the professor's mindset is that even if one buys a noble title, it doesn't change their commoner blood. He suggests that she declined Onetta's offer since the Blue Moon Party is only open to nobles. She is sure that he will protect her, but Desser reminds her about his derogatory comments about commoners. Romantica thinks that Desser is going to use this information to force her to join, but he assures her that he will never do such a thing. He intends to just create a party with Pram, and the thought of Pram with Desser having fun makes her jealous, so she decides to join Desser's party. That night, Pram has a dream of his mother giving him a rapier and told him that it's proof of love. As long as the sword keeps shining, his father will be thinking about them forever. The boy takes it with joy, but it slowly begins to crumble in his hand as he repeatedly hears his mother telling him that his father loves them. The boy wakes up screaming and worriedly looks at the sword on the table. The following morning, Desser takes Pram and Romantica to Professor Bridget's office. As he knocks on the door, she worries that their presence might be inappropriate. He calms her down by promising her that he has spoken to the prof in advance to confirm that it's okay to form a party. The trio enters as the professor remarks that they have the numbers to form the party. She offers them a seat and serves them tea and biscuits. Romantica comments on how nice the tea tastes, and Pram is moved by how delicious the baked goods are. The professor gets straight to the matter and asks Desser why he wants to form a party. Without hesitation, he professes his plan to get promoted to the Alpha class by winning the ranking tournament. Bridget asks him if he has any idea how difficult that is, and he informs her that he's aware. Pram is oblivious to how difficult this feat is, so the professor starts by explaining how the ranking tournament works. It is an exam to determine the ranks of students in each grade, and it's conducted with the Alpha and Beta classes together. A party of 3 to 6 members is needed to participate. The exam's format is a battle between two parties where the winning group's rank goes up. Romantica concludes that parties with more members have the advantage. Bridget points out that it's not the case because individual achievements are assessed. Each party member's contribution to the victory is the key to succeeding. The tournament aims to assess the various skills of the students. This only constitutes the qualifying rounds, since the winning parties will participate in the final rounds. These take place in a shadow world, and those who place within the top 9 are given the title of single rankers. If a beta classman becomes a single ranker, they advance from beta to alpha class. That is why it's also called the promotional tournament. Bridget points out that no one has ever been promoted before. Romantica is not surprised, thinking about the advantages Alpha has over Beta. She concludes that it will be completely one-sided. The professor agrees as she reveals that in the past exams, the top students were all from the Alpha class. She bluntly tells Desser that there is more of a chance that Jada Pinkett stops embarrassing Mr. Smith than them getting promoted. He declares that those horrific odds are what makes it worth doing. Romantica can't believe her ears, so he explains that a party of 3 Beta students all becoming single rankers will prove to the professors that they are worth teaching. Bridget is optimistic that if they become single rankers, it will trigger an overhaul of the rotten system at the academy. She likes Desser's spirit but wants to get verbal confirmation from Romantica and Pram to make the party official. After this, the trio passes through the advanced training halls that are only accessible by the Alpha class. Romantica watches, wishing she could train there too. They arrive at the area they are allowed to use. Pram and Romantica are shocked by how dirty and rundown the place is. Pram faints when they find that the place is infested with rats, and the fake noble also gets scared, but with some persuasion, Desser gets her to help him clean. Pram regains consciousness and is shocked that they managed to clean the place while he was out. He feels a little guilty for not helping, but Desser lets him know that it's fine. Romantica is demotivated and wants to get a shower after that ratty experience. She springs up a little annoyed when Desser informs her that they will be conducting their first training session. However, she recalls their meeting with the professor and falls in line. Pram is already practicing his swings, so Desser conducts some drills to help Romantica gain more control over her wind magic. With her talents, she quickly gets the hang of it. While she practices, he turns his attention to Pram and tells him that there's nothing he can teach because the guy has already perfected his craft as a sword master. Desser believes that he's strong enough to win the ranking tournament at his current level. However, he wonders why he chose the great sword when he's more suited to a lighter weapon like a rapier. This triggers a look of shock on his face since it concerns the overall combat skill of the party. He asks Desser to follow him to his room. The boy brings out the rapier, which Desser recognizes from the other timeline. Pram begins by sharing that he learned about the sword when he was 6. He started on the path of the sword when he heard that his father left it for him. He practiced hard so that he could make him proud on their meeting day. However, on her mother's deathbed, she warned him to never visit his father because they live in different worlds. His mother never told him his father's name till the end. His father was a noble and his mother a commoner. Desser knows that she gave him that instruction to protect him since he would be seen as a disgrace and thus eliminated. Pram enrolled at the academy hoping to find clues about his father. He also got the weapon appraised thinking it would give him a clue. However, he was told that it had no value as a sword. Thinking about it currently makes him feel his father doesn't love him, so he throws the weapon away. The boy makes it known that he never wants to use that sword again. A couple of days pass and Romantica shows improvement but still hasn't completed the objectives set for her. While interacting with her, Desser gets closer, making her blush. The principle behind Donetta's gift comes to his mind, so he asks Pram if he can take another look at his sword. The boy informs him that he sold it, which shocks Desser. All the while, the dealer who bought it has the weapon on his table with a sinister smile. The story carries on with Pram leading Desser across the market. As they pass through, nostalgia slaps him harder than Will Smith because he used to come to these shops a lot during the previous timeline. They arrive at an alleyway and Pram gestures that the shop is through it. Desser can see how shady it looks and comments on how he has never been there before. They stop at a green door that has a notice with the name Wujikian store written on it. There are also some ground rules outlined on it. There are no refunds for defective products or if the buyer has a change of heart. So basically a scam. Desser doesn't need to read any further to figure that there are no refunds whatsoever. He concludes that the owner must be money obsessed. Pram tells him that he never wants to hold that sword ever again. Desser smiles and pleads for him to give it one more chance. They proceed inside and are met with another heavy-duty door with an ominous-looking knocker next to it. With one touch of it, Desser can see that the security is perfect. He uses the knocker, and a huge tribal guy opens the door. He inspects them for a moment before opening the door to enter, welcoming them as customers. Wujikian remarks that there is one face that he saw yesterday and another one that's new to him. He welcomes them all the same, introducing himself. He takes a pull of his pipe before asking if they are here to sell or buy. Desser gets straight to the point, revealing that he has come to buy the rapier that Pram sold. The shop owner reminds them that there are no refunds. Desser politely informs him that this is the reason he said he has come to buy it. Wujikian lets out a mischievous smile. He places the blade on the table, repeating his statement that it has no value as a sword. He suspected that something was amiss because it was so light. It is rare for them to come in this size, but he thinks that it's likely a Kemuvan. Desser is the one to say it, and the shop owner is shocked that the new face knows this. Desser confesses that he has seen one before as he recalls the gift that Donetta gave to Romantica. Wujikian gives more context by disclosing that it is used by nobility to give a gift to a lover. One could compare it to the box. He confesses that he couldn't open it. Desser wants to know how much he's selling it. The shop owner prices it at 40 silver coins. Pram can't believe his ears, revealing that he sold it for 3 silver coins. He also calls Wujikian out for not telling him that it was a Kemuvan. What did he expect? Looking at that nose, he should have known that he was a liar and his truth was as soft as pine wood. The shop owner reminds Pram that he asked him to appraise it as a sword, which he did. It is worth 3 silver coins when looking at it as a weapon. Wujikian lets them know that he's selling it as a Kemuvan, and the price he uttered is the value. The boy calls him a swindler, but the shop owner calls it business. Pram starts to get agitated, but Desser holds him back. He informs his enraged friend that Wujikian is right, and the shop owner commends Desser for having the ability to tell right from wrong. Desser wastes no time and buys it for 40 silver coins. The seller is surprised that there was no hesitation or bartering, and he regrets not asking for more money. The guy admits that the price he paid was the maximum he was willing to go. Wujikian confirms the deal and mocks Desser for looking at it, as that will not help him solve the puzzle. He uses his magic eye to get a look at the internal mechanisms of the Kemuvan. He also reads the message his dad left on the blade. Desser hands the blade to Pram and instructs him to pull the groove in the hilt with his nail. The boy does as instructed and unsheathes a beautiful blade that shines. Pram says that he has never seen a blade like this before. Desser is not shocked to hear this because the blade is made from blancium, a metal that is harder than steel and lighter than a feather, and it's used only in the highest quality weapons. Desser can't forget that shine and is certain that it was the weapon that Pram used in that alternate future. Wujikian can't believe his eyes. As the two students turn to leave, the big guy stands in the way. Desser pleads with the shop owner to remove his security, but he's more than happy to let them go once they leave that sword behind. Desser jogs his memory that what he sold them was a Kemuvan that he paid for without complaint, and the deal was done. The low-key scammer informs them that if that's blancium, then the situation has completely changed. Desser lets him know that he did the same thing to Pram earlier and hopes that he's not going to go back on his words. The thought of letting such a lucrative deal walk out is making him salty, so he tells Desser to shut up like a sore loser. The big man steps up with his giant blade and reiterates that his master said no, so they must leave the sword before exiting. That speech pattern reminds him of a party member in the alternate future. The security guard attacks Desser, who effortlessly dodges. Wujikian gets annoyed and demands that the customer be taken care of. He goes for another swing, but Pram stands between the big guy and his friend. The little guy pleads with Desser to keep his distance. Pram confesses his dislike for fighting, but if they mean to harm his dear friend, then he will not hold back. He insists that Desser leave this fight to him, and the guy jokingly asks him about not wanting to use that sword again. This makes Pram blush in embarrassment. Desser tells him that he is only joking and asks his friend to show him what he's truly capable of. They both take their stance, and the difference in the stature is palpable. It is like asking Tyson Fury to fight Daddy Longneck. The big guy lets out a war cry and dashes toward Pram, but the kid swiftly dodges the attack. Desser makes a mental note that the sword suits Pram's fighting style perfectly, but his opponent's attacks can be fatal if they land. He also worries if Pram can win despite being inexperienced. He takes a second look as he and the guard notice an aura emanating from him. The big guy laughs as he expresses that he likes the look in Pram's eyes. He acknowledges him as a warrior and looks forward to defeating him. The brute gets more intense in his attacks, but Pram is still more nimble, which allows him to counter with a flurry of cuts so fast that the tribal guy doesn't see the attack. The student continues his blitz, and all the big guy can do is block. He can see that Pram is strong, which means he can let loose. Desser notices that all his attacks are too shallow and wonders if he's having a problem gauging distance. As they have more exchanges, the guard seems to be getting acclimated to the speed. If the fight drags on, Pram will be at a disadvantage. He baits the student by leaving himself open and counters with a devastating kick. The power from that attack rocks him to the core, and Desser encourages him to believe in his father. He reaches for his blade and notices the engraving near the hilt. This gives him the last push to cut through the berserker's blade. Before the big man can react, Pram knocks him out with the hilt of his sword, and Desser rushes over to make sure that he's fine. The boy can't believe that he managed to defeat the big man. He concedes that without the sword, he would have been the one on the floor. He does a 180 and thanks his estranged father. Desser is happy to hear this and suggests they leave. Wujikian lets out a sinister laugh as he informs them that the guy they knocked out is the only one who can open that door. He gives them one last chance to leave the sword behind, but Pram cuts the steel door before he finishes his sentence. As they head home, Desser buys some meat skewers for them to enjoy, and Pram expresses his gratitude for both the sword and food. He reminds him that they are a party after all, so if a friend is in trouble, it is only natural to help them out. Tears flow down Pram's face as he thinks about everything he's been through so far. To come out of that with someone he can truly call a friend is emotional. As they enjoy the meat, he thanks his mother and father and informs them internally that he'll be fine. He promises to walk his path with his new friend as he will internalize the words his father left for him on the blade. The weapon was given so that Pram doesn't lose his way. During that interval, Romantica finally masters control of her wind magic as she's now able to land the ball in the circle as perfectly as one can imagine. She jumps for joy at her achievement, but that is short-lived when she realizes that she's the only one around. She decides to see if her accuracy has improved now that she has mastered the exercise. The girl summons multiple magic circles and fires her wind spell. All of them hit the target perfectly, causing her to jump for joy again. With these results, her mind is made up. That evening she heads to the Alpha class area to meet Donetta. The two have a lovely meal and Romantica is impressed by the taste of the food. The guy is not surprised by her reaction as he's aware that the food in Beta class is trash. She thanks him for the food before they get to business. He's expecting her to accept, but she rejects his offer. Romantica tells him that she has joined a party in beta class, she has learned a lot, and is happy. He finds that hard to comprehend till she confesses that she is a commoner whose father bought the noble title. The look of disgust is painted all over his face as he regrets inviting her. However, he does commend her for her honesty. Before she leaves, she informs him that their party plans to get promoted to Alpha class. Donetta lets her know straight that he will crush every one of them. Romantica advises him not to look down on them. As soon as she leaves, the intensity of his anger causes him to grip his arm to the point of bleeding. He gets a flashback of how he helplessly watched as commoners ended his family. Meanwhile, the Academy paper gets word that a beta class party is participating in the ranking tournament, which is unprecedented. The trio are already on the front page. The qualifying round of the ranking tournament begins and the trio lines up against their first opponents. Romantica shows her growth by single-handedly dispatching their opponents with a wind strike. They take the place of their defeated foes on the leaderboard. Pram shines in their next battle as they face 4 swordsmen. While the other 2 defend, he launches a devastating blitz assault on the quartet, taking them out. This gains them another promotion on the table. In their final qualifying round fight, Desser casts an inversing spell which cancels the enemy's attack. Romantica follows with a shot of her wind spell and Pram comes in with a slice. The trio are now in the top 30, prompting them to celebrate. Desser is aware that this is where the real competition begins. Word of their success reaches Bridget, who commends Desser for passing with flying colors. She is certain that those who want to keep the status quo will be making their moves against them. Professor Fergman reads the front page news about how the beta class party has ranked within the top 30. The teacher is livid that the article wonders if this party will be the first to get promoted to Alpha class. He has already called the new Blue Moon party recruits and vents his frustration to them. The professor lets them know that they can't allow this promotion as it will be a stain on the sacred Alpha class. He orders them to do everything in their power to eliminate the group. He appoints Azeste as the leader of the first years in Blue Moon after confirming that she can beat Desser. He has been her main target for making her taste defeat for the first time at the entrance exam. Azeste is determined to beat him this time with all her might. After the meeting, Donetta and Perry Cable plead with their new leader to allow them to deal with Romantica and Pram respectively. She is not opposed to it if they win and warns them to leave Desser to her. Meanwhile, Desser makes his way to his training room, contemplating moving his party members to the next step since their skills are now on the same level. He walks in on the duo stretching like they are in a 90s workout video. They excitedly come to him wondering what kind of training they are going to be doing now. They get confused when they find out that they are not doing any training. He informs them that they are making some special preparations for the final round. That evening, he takes them to the library and drops a pile of books for them to study, but the two are intimidated by them. Upon closer inspection, they realize that these are all history books. This causes Romantica to let out a cry that catches everyone's attention. Desser explains that the final round will take place in a shadow world prepared by the Academy, and historical incidents of varying magnitudes are recreated. Students clear the shadow world by stopping these incidents from happening, so knowing these events will aid in clearing them. Romantica wonders how they are supposed to know which incidents will come up. He informs her that he picked these events at random. She is not impressed by the answer, so he gives her the other option of studying a big wall of books. This puts her back in line. Internally, he reveals that he didn't pick the books based on intuition but on the fact that he knows which events are going to appear in the shadow world for the final round since he has already lived it on the other timeline. As they continue to study hard, they are interrupted by Azeste, who officially declares war on Desser. The guy is not surprised as he expected her to show this courtesy. She finds it strange that he talks as if he knows her. She vows not to lose to him again before she leaves. Desser just hopes that this has prompted her to get stronger so that they can change their future. He looks forward to fighting alongside soon. The day of the final round of the ranking comes. The auditorium is filled with students and the public who have come to witness the event. For gates to the shadow world stand center stage as the media try to get the final statement from some of the professors. Romantica can't get over how loud it is as they wait in the tunnels. Desser explains that the final round is a big event at the Academy. They notice that he's even dressed more formal. After they have a joke around, they get in the right mindset for the fight ahead. They walk out to the cheers of the crowd who have high hope for them. They join the other finalists who are split by the 4 gates. They stand with the Blue Moon party and some of the members are not impressed when they see Desser. Some remind the naysayer not to let their guard down. Azeste, Donetta, and Perry Cable steal glances at their respective targets. The announcer explains that the students who contribute to clearing the shadow world will receive more points. The top 9 players will receive the title of single rankers. Beta class party are currently at the bottom of the rankings. Desser reveals that to attain the single rank, they either must clear the shadow world themselves or defeat every other participant present. The gates open and they all enter. However, the parties are all randomly spawned across the map. Desser's first order of business is to find the other two, but an attack from a member of Blue Moon looks to delay him. The guy dodges it and notices that it was combined with the ice and lightning magic. The lady displays her ability to cast 2 spells simultaneously, but Desser stays calm. He realizes that she doesn't have fine control of her magic as they clash, so he cancels her spells by inversing them, which shocks her. He turns her spell back on her and fires it. She refuses to be beaten by a commoner, but the facts don't care about her feelings as she's taken out. The announcer informs everyone that a player has been eliminated, and Desser coldly counts her as his first victim. Meanwhile, the first historical incident he correctly predicted is manifesting. That brings the episode to an end.